It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Thursday, December 11th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that's going to see how the Flyers match up against the Vegas Golden Knights.
All right.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and welcome to Locked On Flyers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade. I'm here, as always, with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 20 years, Russ Cohen. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, so if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com, place your NFL live bets all season long. To keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And we are going to use that prospect expertise once again. It's Thursday. We like to do something draft related on Thursdays. So we're going to kind of look at the early goings in the 2026 NHL draft class evaluation. Corey Pronman came out with his initial rankings and caused a little bit of a stir. So we're going to get into that as well. We will preview the game against Vegas. And in yesterday's show, we talked about Ty Murchison's NHL debut and suggested that he had earned a second game. We weren't sure if Vegas was the right opponent for that second game. Looking ahead, your next two options are a back-to-back against Carolina. So it may just be that it is what it is. And if they're going to give him another game, like the schedule kind of just has to allow for it, regardless if it's the right circumstance or not.
Yeah, they may not be able to pick or choose. It might just happen, like you said. And if it does, it does. And, let chips fall where they may.
Yeah, Rick Tocchet said at practice yesterday that he might play in that game. He was very effusive about his play against the San Jose Sharks, as were we. He stuck to his game. He's got a really strong defensive side to his game, good in battles and clearing the puck. He's not an offensive defenseman, but he did what he does best very well in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the pairings in practice yesterday, they stayed the same with him on that third pairing with Juleson. I thought, Murchison talked about Juleson and the support he got from him during the game. Mm-hmm. I think Juleson had a pretty solid game himself as well. I think he was definitely focused on helping Ty Murchison.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because, the guy's going to have a few bumps.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I got texts from people just saying, hey, I didn't realize Murchison, could skate like this and didn't realize, we've been bringing him up pretty regularly for a while. So, viewers of the show know, and, other people found out.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we cover the Lehigh Valley Phantoms on a weekly basis on this show and really, try and focus on those up and coming prospects as much as we do, just so that when they do get call-ups in these circumstances, we kind of know where they're coming from as far as the call up and what he can offer in the circumstances here. And really happy for Ty. Hopefully he does get that second game.
As I hope that too.
We don't know the answer to that. Things could change. There could be a transaction made, but as of now, it's looking like he's at least sticking with the team for another day or two. As we talked about yesterday, Rasmus Ristolainen was also at practice, and it was his second practice in a regular jersey. Jordan Hall suggested that his first game could come this month. I'm like air quoting for those who are just listening, but
okay. But I'm not going to mark my calendar. I'm going to tell you that.
No, that's the thing, is like we still don't know what the answer is.
I think it's funny that, and this is why I like Jordan, that you felt strongly enough to make a tweet, but then you were like, well, this month.
But I don't want to commit to anything because we know. No, and we love Jordan. This is not,
do.
And we know why he said what he said.
But it makes me giggle when he says that, because it's kind of like, that's as far as I'm going.
No, totally. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good to see, though. Cam York is still practicing with the team there. He had been at morning skate on Tuesday before the Sharks game, was at practice again on Wednesday, kind of doing reps with Eero Zamula, and it
Which is
seems
never a
like
good thing. That means you're not playing.
correct, but he may not be ready to come back, and
No,
that's
I get it. But I mean, just from a practical standpoint, he's not playing when he's out there with Zamula. Like, that's just the way it is.
right. It's still, and that continues to raise the questions about Zamula, right?
Right.
Now you cannot like bank on Ty Murchison based on one game's
No.
there for sure. But to be fair, other than the fact that Zamula sometimes gets power play time incorrectly, but he does get power play time, they would play a similar role here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, I mean, again, we're just gonna wait and see on it. I don't know what plans they have for him. I wouldn't have him on the power play. I don't know. I don't know what he can do anymore. I mean, that's just to be fair. I really don't know. I'm not being a jerk. I don't know.
Talking about Zamula now, just to be clear.
Yeah. Zamula, and it's not all his fault, but
Right.
there'll be games where, he gets a few shots on net in the power play, but it's not like he's a force on the power play. There's games where I'm watching him out on the ice and he'll have a couple of good shifts and then he'll have some bad shifts. I
He'll
don't
like miss
know.
the puck and it'll
Yeah,
go out of the zone. Like
right.
he's just inconsistent.
And I think part of it's on him, and I do think part of it is on him getting jostled around a lot, because when he does tend to play better when he's in there, and there's no question that he's in there, but he doesn't have the luxury of that right now.
Yeah, so I think all of this is going to be dependent on Cam York's status, and
Yes,
then subsequently Rasmus Ristolainen's status,
right.
and so I don't think the Flyers are going to make any moves in the next couple of weeks. I think they're going to want answers to both of those questions before they make any roster decisions.
But I'm going to bring this up, and this is me. If Murchison continues to play well and Ristolainen comes back, I'm not taking Murchison out for Ristolainen, because that's my future.
A
If all of a
bold
sudden
statement.
But that's all of a sudden, if he looks like the future, then I'm taking Juleson out, and I'll let Risto get some reps with Murchison, if that works out. It may not. Like, after the second game, we might say something else, but I'm just saying, if there's a young guy that's ready to actually take a spot, I'm not taking the spot away from him.
Yeah, I would rather sit Juleson than Ristolainen,
If it comes to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, nobody's sitting Andre anymore. Even people who used to make fun of us for Andre and was like, no, don't see it. No. That's all gone. Like, nobody. Right. The only thing is, the last frontier for Andre is actual top power play time by himself. I don't know why.
Well, and I think getting some more points on the board would help him.
But that would help him get more points on the board too, because even on the second power play, he did a lot more than Travis Sanheim did on the first power play. He immediately got a shot on goal. Not that they either power play scored, but at least he was putting pressure on the other team.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's going to be a lot of discussions around all this and a lot of heightened scrutiny on the blue line over the next couple of weeks. That is for sure. On the Florida side of things, I do want to talk about Christian Dvorak. He had that really cool goal against the Sharks, a really great play by Travis Konechny to get him the puck, but a good move by Dvorak. And he is quietly the third best guy on the team in terms of scoring right now without power play time. Everybody else in the top.
Well, he's gotten a little. I've seen him like once or twice get some shifts.
But essentially no power play time, right? But everybody else in that top tier of the Flyers in points gets significant power play time. And I find that to be really interesting. And I think this signing was a really, really good one. And it's helped the Flyers, not just from a scoring perspective, which I think has been the bonus, but really some stability down the middle. And like his faceoffs continue to be very good.
Oh yeah.
And that has been such a huge boost to this team.
Yeah, like that was something like we all knew that was going to improve the team. I think he's making a good statement for himself, because I do think there were some people out there that felt like the overpay was way too much. And now I'm thinking they're not thinking it's much of an overpay. And so that's a credit to him.
Yeah. And I think it's just been so great to know that he's there and he's reliable when all of this other stuff is happening around him on the forward side of things. Like, we saw that Grundstrom and Grebenkin were in the lineup against San Jose. I would certainly hope that stays the same against Vegas, because we saw Grebenkin. I think, he has his moments, but I think he's iteratively improving over the
he has
stretch
yet
of
to
games.
build chemistry with anybody, but he has these shifts where he's able to control the puck, because the Flyers don't control the puck a lot.
Right. Exactly. And I think, we saw Grundstrom score. It was against his former team, so there's extra motivation there.
Sure.
But I think you got to keep him in there with Obels and then figure out somebody other than Garnet Hathaway to
But
put
right
there.
now they're just going to go with Hathaway
I
because he
know.
penalty kills,
I know.
Rachel, and you can't take him off the
0
penalty
points.
kill. But he penalty kills,
0
Rachel.
points.
He's a penalty killer, remember.
I know. But speaking of those Vegas Golden Knights, the Flyers' next opponent tonight, we got to talk about them and what the Flyers can do to match up. We will get into that coming up next.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reaching to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. The receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. You can bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. Again, I go with the Denver Broncos. They're 11-2, and I'm not sure they're slowing down to win the Super Bowl, that is. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen of the day, and thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club and get Locked On Flyers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month and $50 a year. Go to lockedonflyers.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes. You can learn more and sign up. On tomorrow's show, we will recap this game against the Vegas Golden Knights and preview the Carolina Hurricanes back-to-back coming up this weekend. That is going to be a doozy of a set of games for sure. This is the first matchup with the Vegas Golden Knights of the season. We'll see them again on the road on January 19th. The Vegas Golden Knights are second in the Pacific behind the checks notes again, Anaheim Ducks. That story is crazy in and of itself.
We'll eventually get to it.
Yeah, we will. But Vegas being second in the Pacific checks out for what we would expect.
It does, and then there's some surprise because of the way some of their injuries went.
Yeah. They are 14-6-9, 638 win percentage, which is not that much better than the Flyers overall, who are 16-9-3 and 625. Flyers have been better in their last 10 at 7-3. The Vegas Golden Knights were 5-2-3 in their last 10, so a little bit better recency with the win percentage for the Flyers here. The thing about Vegas that's interesting is they are pretty much the same on the road and at home.
Yeah.
In fact, they're slightly better than on the road than they are at home.
What you worry about here is the matchup of styles. Vegas does it completely differently than the Flyers, and most times it hasn't been great as far as how the Flyers approach Vegas. And so, but now they're even a little different with Mitch Marner, and it's a factor because Marner and Eichel now give them a dynamic on offense that they've really never had before. They've never had two guys like that. Eichel's a top 5 guy in the league now. Both those guys are scoring a lot of points. So
right, they've always been a team with one superstar and then a bunch of very good guys around, right, with good chemistry.
Now they did lose Pietrangelo, which is a huge loss.
Yeah, and he's on IR.
and that affects the team. Their goaltending was affected for a while, which again,
Aiden Hill is on IR.
Aiden Hill's on IR. I don't think Carter Hart's going to play against the Flyers because he played 2 in a row, and I think that was by design. If you remember, even if we didn't think he was going to make the trip way back when, I was saying I don't think they're ever going to play him against the Flyers, and doesn't look like they're going to, unless something were to happen, like the goalie gets sick in practice in the morning, like with San Jose. That's probably the only way it's happening.
To be fair, it's going to be super awkward, even with him on the bench as backup.
Oh, yeah. Because they're going to show him on camera a bunch, and Tortorella is going to be talking about him in studio. And yeah, it's going to be a thing. Could it be a distraction for the Flyers? I mean, they were friends with him. I mean, it could be weird at first. For that first couple of minutes, when they're warming up and stuff, I could see there being some weird vibes with that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just going to be interesting to see like what happens in the tunnel, around the locker rooms, if any conversations happen. It is going to be a narrative.
I also said this, and this is just me guessing what teams will do. I think they are going to show a video tribute of his. And I think they're going to do it because he played a certain amount of time. That's my guess. I'm not saying that's what I would do, but I would not be surprised if they show it. If they didn't show it, I wouldn't be surprised. And if they show it, I would not be surprised. That's just my feeling on it.
I'm guessing they won't, but I you never know, I guess. But I certainly would not if I were them. I think it's not helpful for them. No matter what you think, it's not helpful to stir that up even more.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I can't say definitively they won't. I don't know.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be interesting. Getting back to the kind of the hockey of it here, they've also lost William Karlsson to IR, so they are definitely down a bunch of key guys here, and so that's what's made Vegas a little vulnerable, despite the fact that Marner has added a lot. And I think we've seen what Marner brings to the table more from what Toronto's losses has been from missing him, in terms of what he brought to the table there, more than the obviousness in Vegas. But that being said, that is that 1-2 punch with him, with Eichel on the top line, Marner on the second line. That just creates like a top 6 that's very difficult to defend.
It does. And, Ivan Barbashev continues to get better as a player. I've always stated how much I liked him. But the big thing also is we're not used to seeing Mark Stone play this time of year, and he is. and that's a factor too, because, he's a great two-way player, and he does add a lot of leadership to them on the bench, on the ice. And so having Mark Stone out there is, makes it more difficult too.
Yeah. And I would say, just from a historical perspective here, having Mark Stone on the same line as Mitch Marner feels completely wrong in so many ways. Right. Just because of being on separate, very rival.
The whole dynamic of it.
The whole dynamic is very weird overall.
It's a hard line to face. And so that's something where it's going to put a lot of strain on the Flyers' top pairing. It's going to put a lot of strain on them. So, there's that. You always have to worry about guys like Hurdle. Dorofoyev has a great shot. Sometimes that will take you by surprise. So this is a game they have to play fast. I mean, Vegas's defense isn't the fastest, but they're physical, but the forwards are fast. And so the Flyers are going to have to play fast. And by playing fast, I mean, you got to get the puck out of your zone as quick as you can, like a hot potato, and get it up the ice. No 2 or 3 guys kind of messing around, no overthinking it. Like, it's just got to be fluid.
And that's a challenge for the Flyers, because while they do have a very good, very strong defensive structure in place, it is weighted a little bit more. And Rick Tocchet will be the first one to tell you this. It's weighted more towards sitting back defensively a little bit rather than pushing forward, even though he wants them to push forward. Just this defensive team's natural instinct is to sit back a little bit, which is, to your point, something you cannot do against this Vegas team. And they have to get the puck out into the neutral zone. Like, it's almost as though the neutral zone is the safe zone, as opposed to bringing the puck back around behind the net. I think getting the puck out of the zone is more important ultimately here.
Yeah, I also think, again, from an X's and O's standpoint, that I would try and match up Tippett's line with the fourth line of Vegas and their third pairing. Because, again, with the way he's been playing lately, he's not been making great decisions. He kind of needs like an easier path to the net. You kind of have to help him along here a little because otherwise it's just not happening enough. And so I think that's a way of trying to get a matchup your way at home.
Yeah, that's where the challenge is going to be, because if Couturier is centering that line, they need Couturier to take the faceoffs against the better guys.
I know.
And so that's the conundrum here.
That is the conundrum, and that's why it may not happen. Like, I get that. I acknowledge that. But I do think there's points where it would make sense, or at least try and match them up against the third pairing. But again, the face-off part is key unless you want, Kate's taking a few more.
Yeah, you almost maybe want to have Couturier take those faceoffs with Grundstrom and Hathaway, right? And then skate off.
Maybe.
And maybe have Obels take some faceoffs against the top.
Yeah, because Obels is a good face-off guy. Like, if he just pops in, he's fine.
Yeah,
so,
and just have circumstantial faceoffs with those two swapping out.
It could help with the home change, I mean, that's something where try and get the matchup your way on that. Try and get him going. That might be a way of getting him going.
Yeah, I would say so. The teams are pretty even when it comes to penalty kill. Obviously, I mean, maybe not so obviously, but obviously the Vegas power play is very good given the
just
personnel.
named the guys. You figure it's pretty good.
Yeah. So,
Shea Theodore on the power play is terrific, who we haven't named. So, yeah.
I know. So it should be a very good game. I think if the Flyers can step it up physically,
that's
and
the thing. They're going to have to withstand the physical grind of this game. So late in the game, they're going to have to. That's when they're going to feel it, like third period. But then they have to also put off their speed a bit. So it's a combination. Right. It's different than San Jose because there's all veterans here. Like, this is a total veteran team compared to San Jose, where it's a lot of youthful exuberance. Big difference.
Yeah, so we'll see if the Flyers can make that adjustment, and we will talk about it on tomorrow's show. In the meantime, we had a benchmark of the draft season happen with Corey Pronman dropping his early season rankings. We're going to get into early season methodology and those rankings coming up next. The holidays are amazing, but they can also get overwhelming pretty fast with all the travel, gifts, parties, year-end expenses. It's really easy to lose track of money this time of year, and that's exactly why Monarch has become a game changer. If you want to keep your finances under control this holiday season, you need to be using Monarch. Rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, simple dashboard. In minutes, you can check your net worth, link all of your accounts, and keep track of contributions before end-of-year deadlines. The holiday spending category can become a lifesaver. You can see exactly what's left in your gift and travel budget in real time. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. All right, Russ, this is where your expertise comes into play. Always love talking draft. And we talked yesterday about World Junior preliminary rosters, and that starts to kick off the draft coverage that we do each and every year. And we do so most of the time on Thursdays. So Corey Pronman did drop his initial rankings, and they were a bit of a doozy, a little controversial there, as he likes to do. But it just in terms of the big picture here, like, what is your approach this early in the season versus later in the season to provide some context here?
Yeah, my approach is to get the early views. I made sure I watched the prospect challenge stuff because that's a good first view outside of the realm of a league, because you could look at a league and say, all right, this guy's mastered that league, but like, how is he going to match up against these other guys that he's not used to seeing and these other teams? And we saw some of that. So that's what the World Juniors is all about. And that's why I never come out with rankings before the World Juniors is over. And there's a good reason for that. Because, I'll just say, like, if you take, Ivor Stenberg, if he has 12, 15 points, leads that tournament, I'm not ranking him third. I'm ranking him higher. And so that's just me, because I already know what kind of talent he has. And now if he's going up against, the best talent in his age class and a little older, that's gonna play into it. Am I giving? I mean, on this ranking, Gavin McKenna's fourth.
Right. That's
He's
that's
more,
the lead here in
yeah,
this ranking, right?
He's more than a point a game in college. So am I to say that more than a point a game in college is bad? No, I am not here to say that. Am I here to say that Gavin McKenna is not playing up to his capability? I am not here to say that. Matter of fact, he doesn't even have like a great line in Penn State. It's a good line, but it's not like a super line. It's nothing like what the NTDP
Well, because
had
Porter
a couple
Martone
years
didn't
ago.
go there.
Right. I mean, it's like, so again, and it does take a freshman a little while, and he admitted that. And that's what happens when you play in college hockey against 23-year-olds. Other guys on this list are not doing that. And so that matters. Now, Verhoff is doing that, and good for him. He's terrific. Right now, he's probably second on my list unless something changes. And so, but he's not first and he's not fourth. So that one I think I agree with. The rest, no, not so much. I do think Tynan Lawrence is top 5 all day long, but I do need to see him play a little more. Like, he was terrific last year, but he's only played 7 games this year. He's dominant in those 7 games.
But that's not enough to make it.
It's not enough. He's had some injury. And again, it's like the Matthew Schaefer thing. It's fine. If you want to put him in that spot, put him in that spot. Do I think there's a team or two out there that would take him first? Yeah, I do. Do I think the large majority would still take McKenna? Yeah, I do. Do I think a few would take Verhoff because of need? I do. But it doesn't mean there's a huge competition. And this is why, like, I think just early rankings, I'm just going to say this I am bad for doing this for clicks. I don't do this for clicks. I never have. Like, I started doing this way before clicks meant anything. I don't play that up. And I don't say that to like have my employers be mad at me, and I'm not being curmudgeon-y about it. It's just like, I don't like to over publicize it too early, because I feel like I don't have enough of a feeling about these players yet, and things do change in season.
Right. And to your point, World Juniors is absolutely a key touch point. And
Yeah.
I don't think, especially until you see that best on best in their draft year,
Correct.
like, I don't want to make that assessment. One thing that Pronman does that I do appreciate, I just think he kind of is lacking in the details of it, is he groups players in tiers. And I think this early in the season, that is the right approach. The problem is then he ranks within the tiers. What I would do is just make them blobs. Right. Without the rankings within each tier. I think it's fine to bunch players that way, because ultimately that's what we do, right? We say, okay, if you have a top 6 pick this year, you're going to be fine. Then it's like a little step down, and you may have to wait a year or two before they hit the NHL. Like, those are the kinds of assessments that we make. But that being said, like, that's why tiers are fine. It's just that this early, it's too soon to rank within those tiers.
Yeah, and it's too soon for me to like start saying, hey, this is a below average draft. That's Corey's opinion. Everybody has an opinion. I'm not going to say this is a below average draft. I may never say this is a below average draft. I have a pretty good list already. And to have it this early with, I feel, a fair amount of really good players, again, there's always surprises in the World Juniors that are going to be added to my list too, or go higher on it. And so, like, yeah, I'm not going to say it's
especially with some of the international players, right? That you just don't get to see.
It's always about the international players. Like, one secret that I have that I definitely will put out there is, a lot of people focus on everybody in North America. And you've kind of noticed, if you follow this show or me, that I do focus a lot on the Euros. I talk to them a lot. I kind of try and give them the due that maybe they don't get fully, because, maybe they don't get seen enough. Maybe nobody wants to interview them enough. Maybe, websites are looking for that North American slant, whatever reason. But I always feel like European players, for the most part, not Stenberg, but are underserved a lot. And I try and make that up. That's why I went out of my way to talk to Eklund and find out about Eklund last year, Victor Eklund, those kinds of things, because I feel like
and we were pretty high on Victor Eklund.
Yeah, you never have as good an understanding as overseas players as you will players in North America. Like, that's just if you're in North America, because you're not watching them all the time in the SHL. You might be watching video, you might be watching games on the computer, whatever, but you're not there. You're not seeing everything. And so that's why I try and focus a little more on that sometimes.
And we do absolutely try to do that. And we're going to get going next week, looking at some more individual guys, especially these guys that were in the top tier of Pronman's rankings. We're going to start there and kind of work our way outward as we approach World Juniors, then do some assessments afterwards, like we said. So very excited to get this coverage going for the 2026 NHL Draft. That will do it for today's show. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. If you've got mailbag questions or thoughts on the upcoming draft, let us know. You can send in those questions to any of our socials at Locked On Flyers, email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com, or comment on our YouTube channel. If you join our Everydayers Club, you will get priority in our mailbag segment. So make sure you check out that information. And if Locked On Flyers made your Spotify Wrapped, and you can prove it on social media, you can secure a free month of our Everydayer Club. Just tag the National Locked On Podcast Network account on any of those social platforms. We'll drop you a code. You can be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show, like Locked On Flyers, ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Have a great day, everyone.